Hello guys, and today we will have a really long Russian geography lesson because Ukrainian drones have visited a number of their military objects in 11 different regions, including the capital of the evil empire, Moscow. Russians claim this was the massive attack, perhaps the largest one since the start of their special military operation that was supposed to last 3 days. And here we are, after 3 years of Russian crimes and violence, we are able to continue demilitarizing them and thus protecting not just Ukraine but the world. Ukrainian drones worked in Bryansk, Ryazan, Kursk, Saratov, Rostov, Moskva, Belgorod, Voronezh, Tula, Lipetsk, Oryol regions. And yes, I had to make a list to name all of that. But the most important targets were an oil refinery in Ryazan and a Bryansk weapon plant. I will tell you more about them and also about the adventures in Moscow. Also, because of Ukrainian drones, they had to close 3 Moscow airports. No victims among the civilians, but they have definitely received a message. Russia is losing and they have invited war back home. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia that has already started, and also protect yourself against the hybrid warfare and toxic narratives, subscribe. We discuss all of that on the channel. Those of you who follow me from the very start of the full-scale war, Russian war against Ukraine, clearly remember that during the first year it was impossible to imagine something similar happening. And this is a very vivid reminder to those who doubt. Russia can and will be defeated. Trust us, help us, and we will do the job. And this is important not just for Ukraine, but for many countries worldwide. Bullies must be punished, and Ukrainian drones were doing this job, neutralizing evil Russian military objects and also demonstrating how vulnerable and weak the Russian Federation is. Actually, we have visited 11 various regions and targeted important military objects. Drones have worked on the temporarily occupied Crimea territory also because it's vital for the safety and security of our world to return this peninsula back to Ukraine and restore the international order and stop these discussions about new reshapings of the map. Russians report there were 121 drones that they managed to stop. Yes, they managed to stop them with those military objects that later kept exploding. So I have enumerated, but I will repeat that, regions in which Russian military objects were targeted by Ukrainian drones, and that is Bryansk, Ryazan, Kursk, Saratov, Rostov, Moskva, Belgorod, Voronezh, Tula, Lipetsk, Oryol. Those in other countries who may still believe that Russia is strong, just imagine something similar happening, let's say, to the states in America. That would be a real war. People would be worried. That would be all over the news. But what do they do in Russia? Keep filtering the information, keep pretending that everything goes according to the plan. But I think it is already impossible, and I believe that more and more global leaders see the weakness of Putin, his craziness, and this paralysis of the Russian population. Subscribe to witness the collapse of the Kremlin and, the liberations of Russian. I don't like this word, but they are definitely traumatized by the centuries of the bad character. And I don't know why they keep nurturing the dictators. But anyway, let's speak about the most important targets that were destroyed tonight, and later I will continue talking about the Moscow adventures tonight. So one of the best fires that I have ever seen on the oil refineries is definitely the one that happened last night in Ryazan. There are lots of videos that people kept recording, commenting on the vulnerability and weakness of Russian air defense. Most importantly, this oil refinery in Ryazan was super military storage, because it is the one where different kinds of oil products were kept, starting from aviation gas and various fuels for tanks and ships and aircraft. They specialize in that, and maybe that's why it burned so well. It was like a real door from hell opened. Well, actually, Russia is the greatest embassy of hell on this planet. Recently, Russian Yandex, which is a miserable equivalent of Google, and they have their maps. A court in Moscow banned Yandex from showing a Ryazan oil refinery on that maps, but I guess it did not help. You know, there are other maps, there are other intelligence services of Ukraine that already know how to work and keep destroying their huge targets like that. Another very important object neutralized by inexpensive Ukrainian drones is definitely a plant in Bryansk region that has a name Kremniy. You noticed that, but that will be the proof that I do not re-record videos and share with you my most sincere opinions, or is it there's beauty videos, beauty routine videos. So anyway, this really huge target in Bryansk, that is a weapon plant that was responsible for the production of various microelectronics for missile systems, for even for their drones, air defense, and most importantly for very evil instruments of Russian war, Iskander missiles. All of these elements, they have various microelectronic parts that are used to target the objects, to choose these targets, to control, and actually by paralyzing the production of such elements, we also save lots of human lives. And that is very important, and it brings us to this conclusion why the demilitarization of the Russian Federation is vital for the safety and security not just of this region, but of the world for the years and centuries to come. This has to be done, and I'm personally very happy to read new documents coming from the European Commission, where they actually speak about this decades of Russia falsifying the history, explaining its imperial character but by some fake narratives, and trying to reshape the world based on, I don't know, Putin's fantasies and books of the 18th century. Subscribe to witness the collapse of the Russian Federation and Russian Imperial Project. It has already started. And please share these videos on your social media platforms. This helps spread the truth, and that is very important, especially in this time. And another way to spread truth inside Russia is to send drones to Moscow. They demonstrate the vulnerability of the Russian Federation. Can you imagine drones flying in London, Paris, or Washington, and the presidents and prime ministers of these countries pretend nothing is happening? Just try and substitute it with your country and your capital. And this will show you how fake Putin is when he puts this image of a very strong, very controlling leader that does not comment on, lots of Ukrainian troops in Kursk and drones doing the job in Moscow. So Ukrainian drones from Ukraine are able to travel to the city in which the Kremlin is located unstoppable and do the job. They actually had to close 3 airports, including those famous Domodedovo and Vnukovo. And here we come to the most important mission that these drones actually do in Moscow. They send this message to the population of Russia. Look, we've reached you after 3 years of Russian aggression, after 3 years of Putin's lies that everything goes according to the plan and Ukraine, is not able to protect itself. and all in time when Russia is trying to trade negotiations or to fake this image for the new US president, for the European Parliament, and so on. We actually disclose their weakness. We show that they are classical bullies prepared to attack smaller countries, but totally unprepared to defend themselves. And I believe that combined with sanctions, combined with very raw economic management, Kremlin craziness, sometime really soon we will witness the collapse of Russia and the collapse of Putin, and we have to be prepared. Don't be afraid of that. The USSR collapsed, and it actually brought to life many good countries. All of them are good countries and normal neighbors. It is just Russia that remained this monster Frankenstein, dreaming to rebuild its imperial future. All the other countries became trustworthy partners. So after the collapse of the Russian Federation, new countries will appear, and they will be trustworthy, normal countries with whom you can trade gas, oil, where you can travel, and the countries that will actually speak about the sins of communism. Because after the end of the Second World War, a very big part of Europe remained under the Iron Curtain. But this Iron Curtain was not just a curtain, it was a prison for free thinkers, for creative people, for those who wanted to preserve and practice their cultural language traditions. Millions died. And after the collapse of the USSR, Moscow decided to pretend nothing happened and actually closed the materials and documents for researchers from Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia to look at the crimes of Soviet regime. How do you think why? Because they don't consider it crimes and they want to continue. That's actually what they are doing, but they are too weak. The world has learned on its mistake, and I hope the world will keep supporting Ukraine because we know what must be done. And we are working on that. Just have a look at Ukrainian drones demilitarizing Russia in 11 regions, including the capital. Join me on X, I'm fighting there. On Blue Sky, our community is growing quickly. On Instagram, I share more of everyday life there. And of course, our Discord community is open for real friends. All the links that you need are in the description of this video, and I never invite you to chat. These are scammers, same as I do not have any other pages that are not mentioned here. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. This is a great honor and a great opportunity to film, write, and speak more. Also, thank you for all the conversations and actions that you do in your countries to defend the truth, democracy, freedom of choice. Check our merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. But most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!